From controlling energy, which sounds pretty cool, to rules, which does not sound fun, and slit-eyed Onis. Yeah, that one will need some explanations. Hello, Magi here, and welcome back to another episode of Interesting Touhou Facts, the series where I talk about facts from Touhou that I find either fun, unusual, or simply interesting. So without further ado, let's begin the Interesting Touhou Facts number 95.
Number 5.
Now, parties at Gensokyo is nothing new. In fact, I'd be more shocked if there wasn't one. That's when you know an incident is at foot. But I don't recall any of those parties involving barbecues, until now anyway. So in Curiosities Chapter 32, Reimu, Marissa, Rinosuke, and Sumuriko are having a barbecue at his place. Main reason was that Sumuriko felt guilty for insulting Rinosuke in his smoking deal. So it's an American barbecue style with expensive meat. Now I'm not too sure what makes it American. Is it the inclusion of hamburgers and bacon? My American guildmate in WoW told me it involved pigs. I have barbecues in my home, but it's a mix of Canadian and Vietnamese summer food. Anyway, now Sumuriko's a high schooler, but she doesn't have the most cash. I certainly had shit back when I was a student. The thing is, expensive meat was bought by her. Turns out, Sumuriko wasn't fully herself. She was persuaded by Joan to buy meat with her allowance. If you remember in Antinomy, Sumuriko didn't encounter the sisters but dealt with her doppelgangers instead, so this was the closest the club president dealt with the antagonists of her future game. While she didn't face off Joan and Shion, she was still understandably pissed that her allowance was spent. Like I said, most high schoolers aren't packing much, so this could have costed her months of it. Rip the allowance.
Number 4.
For this next fact, we're going to be looking at Okina's somewhat unique position, and not as a god, mind you. Now, Okina holds a special place as she's only one of 4 Touhou characters in the series to be a main game stage and extra stage boss. The only others would be Rika from Story of Eastern Wonderland, good old Alice in Mystic Square, and Junko, though partially as she was working with Hekichiya in Legacy. As of this recording, Okina is the only Windows Era girl to have both positioned as a Stage 6 and final boss. She's also the first character since Yuka and Lotus Land Story to fully be the boss of 2 consecutive stages. So yeah, for her first appearance, Okina sure knew how to spice things up. But again, that was the entire point for her, so she accomplished that pretty well.
Number 3.
This time, we're going to be looking at powers. The only difference is that these powers don't actually belong to said users, as it's more like they're borrowing for the time being, kinda like Eek in a sense. So the ability I'm going to be talking about is controlling vitality and mental energy. Satono handles mental and Mai deals with vitality. Like mentioned, it's not their powers, but Okina's. The secret god entrusted the power to the two, and with it they're able to draw out the latent ability and potential of all things through a hectic background dance behind that thing. Somehow, Okina also uses this ability to maintain Gensokyo's balance. So a little weird, especially the whole dancing deal. But if it works, it works. Okina can also use his ability through these doors to create yokai. Aoun, originally a divine spirit of a Komanu statue, became a sentient yokai due to the magic flowing from the door that Okina placed on her back. I gotta say, I owe Okina a lot for introducing one of my new favorite characters into the series. I salute to you.
Number 2.
So this next fact is a really cool one, as it could have easily changed how we viewed a certain character. And that's pretty big in all honesty. So in Strange Creators Volume 2, in an interview with Zune and Unobara, a member of Twilight Frontier, there was a thing called the Slit Eye Suika incident. I'm sure it got your interest now. There was a certain fad at the time during Suika's inception where white-eyed characters were popular. I'm gonna show you some pictures of what I'm referring to. With those fat eyes, Twilight Frontier wanted to utilize that, which would have had Suika's sprite having eyes similar to what I showed you earlier. I'm not gonna lie, the idea sounds really alien, but that's probably attributed to the fact I've known what Suika's current appearance is, and deviating like that would be foreign to me. Luckily, Zune shot that idea down real fast. Zune felt they would have been trying too hard to catch a trend and it wouldn't have aged well for the poor Oni. I gotta agree with Zune on this one, so in the second take, they took out the white eyes and turned most of them into slit eyes. Although the final product doesn't appear to have those slit eyes. While I'm glad it didn't happen, I can't help but wonder what the ramifications would have been if they stayed with that kind of designs. It's the same way for Rin Satsuki. What if she had remained in EOSD? How much would the series have changed to what we currently know? The real question is right there.
Number 1.
So there's one thing constant in every game in the Windows era, main game or spin-off, and that is the spell cards. With this in play, anyone can battle. Pure power and strength isn't the only deciding factor, which explains why humans like Raymond and Marissa can participate. Not that they're weak, but there are no doubt stronger beings they wouldn't even phase if not for these rules. Speaking of, let's discuss these rules. The spell card is such a big thing that it really could have its own section, but we'll do a chunk-sized piece for now. So in Strange Creators Volume 1, there's a small section detailing the spell cards. There's about 6 of them which I'll read up. Number 1. A spell card is a specialized skill of the users, given a name. When using one, they must first announce its use, which is how we're always able to name it. The number of spell cards used by both participants must be determined before the battle. In the main games, the star you see on the upper screen is an indication to how much spell cards they have. If all your cards on hand are broken, example, if the enemy has completely invaded or defeated them, you must admit defeat. That's where dropping their life to 0 or being super meta and just dodging it till the timer hits 0 comes into play. The winner can only receive compensation decided before the duel. If you do not like the opponent's presented compensation, the duel can be refused. So they can't bullshit you, a verbal contract if you will. The winner must actively honor the loser's request for a rematch. Can't be a little bitch about it, no matter how much you may want to kill the winner. Be prepared for unforeseen accidents. That's where random shit happens, but you didn't hear that from me. So essentially, 6 main rules when it comes to the spell cards. So if you ever get yourself stuck in Gensokyo, just follow these rules and you should be able to get yourself out of sticky situations. Or you might just die quickly. There's always that. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Which facts were your favorite? Would you be mad if Joan spent all your money on expensive meats? Are you guys Suika didn't go through with those white eyes? Or are you more knowledgeable about the spell cards? If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe or else Joan might break your bank for food. Which isn't the best thing. Either way, this is Magi and thanks again for watching.